What's up, everybody, and welcome to the ITG podcast. We're still working on a name, aren't we, boys?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not very good at naming things.
So we're still working on it. So if you got a name, you got an idea, hit us up. Maybe we'll actually pick it for the show. You never quite know what's going to happen over here. Obviously, I'm Drew, and I'm joined each and every week, every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, where you can join us live. I'm joined by none other than the guy you see each and every day on Daily Show with me. It is Scott Savage. Scott, what's happening, brother?
Oh, just another day in paradise here. We're playing lots of games, and it's no different than every other week. I'm still waiting for the games to kind of slow down. I know we're into 2024, but it doesn't quite feel like it's slowed down yet. My backlog is still screaming at me.
I think that's the biggest problem is our backlog, right? And then all the way, our good buddy from England, jolly old England, it is none other than Steve Radley. Steve, what's happening there, buddy?
Oh, loads of gaming going on, and I'm really enjoying the one that we've got review that's coming up. And
That's right.
it's got me my hooks into my soul, and I'm enjoying this one for sure.
Hopefully less bugs than usual for you. You've had a bad run lately.
Yes, we have. We both have, really, technically speaking.
There's been a man. Okay, so here it is. We're talking about bugs. Let's jump into the bugs because today I'm playing Skull and Bones again, and hard crash right to my. It just locks
Again.
everything, dude. I don't like. I'm ready to lose my mind here because I'm all in, and I'm all in on Skull and Bones. I'm well beyond the 50-hour mark now at this point, right? And I just keep going back. Now I'm Kingpin 4. It says. I was just like, wow, that went fast. I was like, okay.
Do you lose your progress? Do you lose
your
your progress when it crashes? Or does it just carry on?
It just carries on. So it's got a quick save point. Like, I do appreciate that.
That's good.
But, Steve, I'm literally, like, hard pressing my Xbox button and holding it down because everything's locked up.
Reset.
Dude, it is the hard reset. Like, I got to bounce, right? Like, I'm like, I'll be
wrong
back.
to do it.
It's just,
Yeah.
why? It's just, the game's been around forever, man. Like, it's been in development for a decade. Why am I experiencing this? I don't know.
Is it your console, do you think?
No, it's not, because it's not just me. I was gaming with Nate on the weekend. Nate had the same issue. I'm gaming with my brother. He's had the same issue. It's like we all experience the same thing. Ubisoft, you gotta figure this out because what happens is your screen freezes. So here, Darren and I were playing last night. It froze on him, and then it came back. I was like, he goes, oh, hang on a second, I gotta go into a hard reset again. I went, he goes, oh, wait a second, I'm back. Last night, me too. I'm like, man, there it goes. So your screen locks, but you can hear everything. You just can't see anything because you're not moving. And it's
once you lose that audio, then you know it's unredeemable.
It's like
I've only had it come back once.
Fair enough. Steve, so you unfortunately weren't able to get a code. Are you thinking about buying the game at all?
I might do actually, because I did try the 8 hours free trial.
Mm-hmm.
So that got me an extended, and I had been keeping up to date with the beta play as well.
Right.
So it is kind of one of these things that I would like to get into, but I know the amount of hours you've already sunk into it already, and we know there's a few other big games that's coming out apart from the one we're playing now already, and I'm sort of debating if I'll have the time to actually jump in and get the hours to actually more appreciate it, and also if I end up playing a lot of solo, am I going to still have the experience then teaming up because of difference when I get in from work and hours sometimes, when everyone can get your squad together.
That's fair, right? I think there's a certain point within the game that if your ship is as big as ours, right, and you're up around the level that we are, you'll be just fine to hang with us and roll with us, right? Like at this point now, my ship is almost level 11. My brother's is already a level 11. I was hanging with Nate and Ben on the weekend. They're level 12. That
has to be end game.
We're at end game content. We're definitely there. But there's still
about 75%, I think.
There is so much to do at the end of the game. Like the end of the game, this thing, you get in those experiences where they're like, hey, okay, now that you completed the game, welcome to the game. Here I am, right?
That's what they said about Starfield, though.
Well, it's but you talk about if you go to Greg Miller, dude's rolled Starfield 6 times because he's a role player. But the dude's a monster. But either way, it's he's the only one I know who's done it. Like that's the thing. Shout out to Greg Miller. Kind of funny. But for us, like, dude, I never finished Starfield. I went 80 hours hard and then bounced because we had this game, that game, and I never made my way back. Hey, buddy, how are you? So we're in on this Skull and Bones, and now there's these things called manufactories. So it's basically like a factory is what you're getting. It's so you go out and you take over this complex, this area, and then it helps produce pieces of 8. Well, then you gotta put funds into this thing, and then it upgrades your piece of 8. So this is kind of what I've been playing. But we'll get back into that because I'm playing a ton of other stuff too. So it's just, but that part gets you the pieces of 8, which you need to then get some of the other upgrades you need for your ship, and then you take over all these areas. The problem is, after 30 days, those areas and things reset.
So I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah. So then you're back into this new loop of, okay, you got to go back out, get these things, upgrade your factories, right? And then because they all have different intersecting paths, if this factory you took over then links with this one, now you get a bonus. And then with this one links to that one, well, then you get a bonus for that, and then all 3 are connected. The problem here is there are world events, and the world events set these factory opportunities off. There's on a countdown of like 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And all of a sudden, boom, this world event comes up. And then you can set out and get some of this stuff done. But it might not be the one factory that you're after in particular that's in your section. So now you're off in somewhere else. Like, there's this, what a complex system beyond the game that I wasn't anticipating. And that's where it's kind of really pulled me in and pulled my brother in. And we've been having a ton of fun.
Yeah, kind of.
But
grand strategy elements like that is me really intrigued because what could be from Skull and Bones.
So Kyle joins us over on Twitch. Yo, what's up, Kyle? He says he's got locked in on Dead Island 2 right now. He's only level 5 on Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
I've seen him playing
on Dead Island. I was
Yeah.
downloading Dead Island 2 for the past couple days now. My internet is not solid. And I was not sure if there's a multiplayer even to that game. When Dead Island 2 came out, I kind of just forgot about it and went to Dying Light 2.
Yeah, that's fair. But so here's my biggest problem right now with Skull and Bones, besides the big hard lock. Right now, when the world events pop, it pops up over top of a menu you pull up. So when you go to leave an area, you can go into fast travel, set sail, all that stuff. Menu pops, menu pop, menu pop. I'm like, I can't select. Like, if they drop that world event underneath or drop the menu down, they got to move something here, because I'm trying to go in then, get my cosmetics to change my ship the way it looks, this, that, and the other, set sail. I can't see what I'm doing because this world event keeps popping. I sat there for 5 minutes today as one event popped after another, after another, after another. Man. Because when you set off some of these world events, then people are joining, which then kind of almost like sets it off again. Because then it puts, you can join too to say you want to be a part of it. And it's just, wow, I almost lost
this
it
sounds
today.
Like something, nuts. It sounds like something that QA testers would
have picked up on.
Out, you know, this is kind of what gameplay testing is for, and I happen to know that Ubisoft does game testing.
I'm sure it'll be one of those many patches that will come out between now and next year.
Yeah,
I hope so. Right, I think that's the biggest thing, because I can see myself and my brother still playing this for quite some time. So Kyle, you got to get caught up. Level 5 is nothing. You're getting left in the, I'd say dust, but we're on the sea, so I don't know what to say in that case.
Yeah, I'm also pretty low level though, so we could both pair up and try and get into the end game tier together.
Well, then you get into all these factories, right? And you get pieces of 8, but then certain kingpin items are actually, you can only get those with teeth from the monsters you go hunt. Oh man, like there's just so much stuff.
Is visiting the islands better? No, you've gone a little bit further. It's still kind of plain and
whatever.
Dull.
No.
Yeah, some of those locations are cool, but there's just nothing there, so they're not that cool. It's really just a potential of what it could be.
Yeah,
just not merchants, isn't it?
If I had a hidden blade in my arm, you know, and there was a list of targets around to take
that's called
down,
Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That's what that is.
That's
which
I'm still holding hope for that remaster.
Oh, dude, we need that remake, don't we? But Steve, let's get into it, because you and I have been playing Rise of the Ronin. We can give early impressions. If you haven't seen our video, it is up. It's over on our YouTube channel, Inside the Game Official. You can go check out our full thoughts. We're going to give you high-level thoughts, just quick-level thoughts right now. Steve, overall thoughts so far. Early impressions. We can't give a full embargo. We are under certain restrictions. But right now, where are you at with Rise of the Ronin?
I'm probably about 9 hours now, and it's just opened up. And as I kind of realized that I forget about open worlds, as soon as you open a bit of the map up, is how many different locations spawn up as well with different things.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, and then do I carry on with the story or do I carry on with the side quests? But I'm actually really loving it at the moment. The graphics are good, but there's something not right, but I'm not sure if the patch will sort it out when it comes out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Day one patch.
Couple of glitches right? I've had textures pop in as I'm moving, kind of thing. So, but overall, the combat, I'm getting a few combos sorted out now, and
feels good, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know almost nothing about the game. I really have not paid attention to many trailers. I don't recall searching it myself. But is there gunpowder? Is it during that period of time where it transitional?
19th century,
okay.
19th century Japan. That's being overrun by Western people.
There's a name for that period of time in history, and I'm not sure what it is, but it is that's the coolest part.
It's full of history.
If you're going to play it, I think.
Yeah, we're not allowed to go into characters or anything like that, not until our embargo drops on the 22nd. So you can check out our full review, but at the high level, just quick thoughts. I'm enjoying myself too. I'm 8 hours into the game, I believe, somewhere around there now. Haven't been able to get back to it since you and I did our thing there, Steve. But so I said you can check out our full details on everything. But I've had a good time, dude. The combat is fun. That's the biggest thing, right?
How difficult?
Well, okay, so that was one of my points. Of like, okay, this is Team Ninja. This is the team that brought us Neo and Neo 2. Like, are we gonna get stomped? But yeah, like you're nervous. Are we getting into that feeling of, hey, you're gonna just run into a brick wall? And I haven't. So like I was excited just to okay, cool. I can play the game. Let's just play the game, and that's where I've been at. So it's been a ton of fun for sure, and I'm definitely looking forward to dive back in, get the full thoughts for our full review on the 22nd. But besides that, Scott, what have you been playing? We'll get back into a little bit more of what I've been playing and Steve ourselves, but right now we just want to give a couple of quick little thoughts on Rise of the Ronin. But yeah, if you haven't checked it, go check out our full preview. It's over on our YouTube channel, as I mentioned, as well as our Fast channel here soon. So check that out.
I've definitely been bouncing around two mainstay games that we load up almost every night. That would be PUBG, would be the main one. And I've been loving PUBG all over again. I'm really, really excited about some news that just came to light today. I think PUBG is going to be played for a while yet. But besides that, Brotato. I just had a Brotato match that ended, unfortunately, at the 17th round. And I really thought I was going all the way this time. But that game is there's beauty and simplicity, and Vampire Survivors was game of the year. This is like that done by another team.
Is it a knockoff? It is a knockoff, isn't it?
I was thinking of it today actually, and I had a much more thoughtful idea, but it's Geometry Wars put through a filter.
Okay.
And I'm struggling to remember what that filter was. It's another game title. I was gonna say, what kind of filter? Almost Tim Burton, like the way
the Nightmare Before Christmas kind
Don't Starve Together looks. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but
okay,
it's its own thing.
That's cool.
It stands enough on its own that I can't really directly say it's better than Vampire Survivors, but
that's fair.
It's subjective.
Fair enough. Steve, what else have you been playing?
Well, apart from obviously Rise of the Ronin, the one that me and Scott done a review on, which was Wrath Aeon of the Ruin, which is a cross between, we kind of summed up as Doom and Quake, like together, that kind of early retro style game.
Yeah.
And for someone that hasn't really played much of the early Dooms or Quake as much, but know of them, and probably played not as much, I did really have a lot of fun in this one as well. I just like just grabbing weapons and just trying to blast everything that runs and screams towards you. So
the corridor shooter.
But at the moment, Rise of the Ronin has got me. There's quite a lot going on in this one, for sure.
That's yeah. There's lots that we'll be getting into for sure moving forward. Obviously, I've been playing that too, right? There's no doubt there. Skull and Bones, as I mentioned off the top of the show. PUBG. PUBG, you got some pretty cool news today, Kyle. I hope you're listening. Unreal Engine 5 is now in development for PUBG.
Kyle has been asking.
It's what we've been asking for, right? We've been asking for this. It needs that upgrade. Doesn't need a sequel, but it needs that Unreal Engine 5 update. What were you gonna say, Scott?
I thought it was impossible to upgrade something this old to just a new engine like that, or at least I thought it was like prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
But it appears I'm wrong,
Yeah,
and I'm
probably
very
is.
happy to be
Fortnite
wrong
did.
because this game.
Oh, sorry, Epic.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And they came out just after PUBG, if anybody will recall. But
Chaos is finally.
I have an interesting question though. What would you like to play? And I say that because every night almost I look at Alan Wake 2, and I think one day.
Honestly, right now I'm just firing it on the things I'm looking at playing. So right now I'm working on a review title. More to follow later. Can't say there's a redacted title there. Rise of the Ronin. I'm playing Predecessor still on a nightly basis, right? They got the new mid laner out there. Not my style. I played a couple rounds and you kind of realize it's not me. It's not my style. If I'm gonna go mid lane, I'll probably pick Belica, or if I'll run support, or if I run jungle, right? So there's a couple different places I like to bounce.
You have to know how to fight against them, but that's all.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just not you. Argus isn't for me, but I've seen Robbie, the CEO, come out with Argus, and I've gone up against some tough Argus as well in the mid lane. And yeah, if you can get on all cylinders for him, he's a really cool character. Nice hero to see that their own over at Meta bringing in their own ideas now, right? Which is nice to see them branch away from the whole Paragon stuff and come in with that way. So that's pretty cool. Dude, you know what I would like to play, honestly? It's just another Splinter Cell game. Like, I know we talked about. I want that hardcore stealth. I think is at the end of the day. Like, what about Dishonored 3? Like, I'm looking for something. Every once in a while, I'll jump back into Dishonored 2. But man, we're just so busy right now. I don't have time to go. What are you gonna play for fun?
How about that Thief game? I say that Thief as if there's one, but
I was just say, which one's that?
There's one that's on Xbox One, and I believe it was originally on Xbox One. I know it only as Thief. I've played it on my Xbox, of course. It's come up a couple times since then, but it's notably not the Thief that my brother played, maybe 20 years ago. It's different, but it's more like it's like Dishonored, but without all the magic stuff. Just a little bit of magic stuff.
Yeah,
if you know Thief, but
I know Thief, dude. I was there day one with Thief. Was way back on the PC, and then they came out with 2. Took a little bit of a turn. It wasn't really for me. Played it. I watched my brother play it more than anything, honestly. And then that new one you're talking about was Thief, dude. They came out with a new Thief game. Eidos Montreal, I believe, was the studio, the developer behind that one.
I think so.
Yeah. So Eidos comes back. I'm like, yo, they're making another Thief. Let's go. Jumped in, loved it. I thought it was great. It was that back to the old times.
Something about a magical mace.
Yep.
At the beginning, if I recall. Okay, that is the one.
Is it kind of like the Hitman, but you're just a thief?
But in medieval times, and with like you can
okay.
Yeah, so you're like wandering through castles, Steve, and then there's like torches lit up and stuff, right? So you can pull back your bow and arrow.
Robbery.
You get the water arrow, so it extinguishes out the flame and stuff like that, and allows you to move on, creep through the shadows and stuff. Oh man, I love that feeling, right? I love being the sneaky guy and then pounce behind. I always say my play style is a panther, right? So I'll get in, I'll sneak up, and then as I leave, everybody's dead. They never saw me coming. They're all dead. So yeah.
Oh, my favorite is the Ghost. If you can play the Ghost through Dishonored, 0 kills.
Why would you do that?
Don't make the same mistake that I did, though. There's a dog right at the end. Don't do it. I did it. Now it doesn't count. I don't have the achievement.
Boo. That sucks. What a waste of time. You should have just killed everybody like I do.
It was not a waste of time. Pure stealth.
It's been a ton of fun.
Try playing a Splinter Cell game without killing anybody. I think I did it with Double Agent, and it was almost impossible. Like Prison Break and all that. Think about it.
Brad, I'm going to mute you in a second. He says Gollum is a great stealth game. We're going to stealth Brad right out of here in a second.
Hey, on that topic, though, Styx 2. I still have yet to play Styx 2.
Yo, Styx 2 is actually pretty cool. I liked it. It's got co-op, right? I think that's the highlight for that game. It was pretty cool. If you're looking for a stealth game, something I do recommend you check out. Is pretty fun. It was on Game Pass, I believe, at 1.2. I don't know if it still is or not, but it might be there.
I don't know if that was the first one or not, because I had it for a short time, but I don't remember buying it.
Yeah, it's been... I love the men's game.
Oh, he did the thing where he says...
So I was just reading Polar Nights. I love the men's cam. It's the perfect evolution of beard growth. You got... you got Scott, then me, then Steve. Just as a close circle. Either way, it's been a lot of gaming for sure, right? Like we're never slow over here. So it's kind of, what do you want to play? I'm already playing. I think at this point, what I want to play. I think what I want to play is Predecessor, which I play on a nightly basis to keep up, to keep moving, to keep going. Right? Overall on PlayStation, the closed beta, I'm 80. I think it's 84 hours now, or something like that. So that's one there is just, I'm in. I might stick around for another game. I might play 2 games, and then I'll bounce out, and then I'll play some PUBG, or I'll play some Siege, or working on stuff for the show. Like, there's always something cool that I'm doing, so which is always fun. But guys, I want to get into something else that's cool. What's in and out this week? I'll kick it off on this one. What I'm in on is what happened when Dragon's Dogma 2 was announced. We get this. People are like, I don't know about this. And then I saw the gameplay that Capcom put up. I'm like, man, this thing looks cool. And then they give us the character creator. And I jumped in today. I jumped in on this thing. I thought, this is cool. Now I'm ready when the game drops.
You're here
boom. Well, so here's what happens when you get into some of these character creators. Like, you could be there for a very long time, picking and choosing, getting through all your decisions, right, and customizing your character to look the way you want. So I'm like, cool. If I can already take care of that before I jump in, that is cool, right? Like, that's cool. That's now okay. Now I'm just ready to go. I jump in. Let's play the game. Let's do that.
Are you gonna make a jokey character? Or are you going to be serious?
Polar Knights. Dude, shout out to Polar Knights. He says, I have 2 choices. Play games or talk to the wife. So games it is. Maybe sometimes.
We've all been there at times.
Yeah, we get it. It's, so there's 4 classes. So I go in. Here's a cool part. I've never seen this in a creator character before. You actually go in and you can pick a race, but to get started, you pick that race, the faction you want to be a part, or the race, sorry, and then from there you pick 3 faces, and then they mesh those faces together, and then that's what you build off of. I know. I was like, oh, this is kind of neat.
You know where that does come from. Thank you for unlocking that memory. That's GTA 5.
Yes, and I hated it in GTA 5. Hated it.
Well, because you're picking your grandparents and their parents. That was bizarre. But
ugly, man. I had the ugliest character. I hated it. I was just like, but that's all you can really do here. Then you can go in and you can literally break it all down. There is so much detail from even getting into the tattoos, and then so you can get like a preset tattoo, right? So all of a sudden, my character now. So I went with a thief character. No, sorry, ranger at the end of the day, because I saw the ranger build they did a demonstration of the ranger. I'm like, yo, there's some cool powers that I'll be getting later as a ranger. I'm in. Let's do this. So I build up my character, and I almost built her for like a mage situation, because she's got this tattoo that goes across her face and then down her arms and her chest, right? But after, you can go in and you can actually customize the individual parts of the tattoo. So all of a sudden, the piece on her,
that's really cool.
I know, it goes around her neck, right? And it's got this pattern. Well, then I can change the pattern thickness, how big it is, how much tighter it looks, all that kind of stuff. The colors, the placement, shift to the left, shift to the right, up, down, and then move on to my arms and do the same thing. I went, yo, this is tight.
That's really cool.
It was very, very cool. So that's what I'm all in on right now, getting that. So I've done my Arisen character, which is the main character, and now I got to go back to the side character, or what they call pawns.
Oh, do your pawn?
Yeah. I wish they had co-op. Dude, that's the biggest killer for me.
That's what killed the first one for me.
There's no co-op. You have 4 pawns chasing you around. I'm like, really? But those 4 pawns, instead of giving you a map, right, and going, here, there's the part on the map you're going to, they use the pawns to help push the story. Yeah. Which is really, really cool. I like this. I'm hoping it's more immersive this way, that it's going to bring you in and go, hey, okay, so this is the next part we got to go do, but we're going to head over here. And then all of a sudden, the other pawn over here tells you about a secret that's over this way that they heard about. And then when you walk into town, you overhear somebody talking that brings you in another path. And then you get into this part. And then, like, I was watching some of the previews that dropped, and they were talking about their one mission was to find this boy taken by wolves, which they stumbled upon in the first place, and they never finished it. So over the course of their 3-hour experience with the game, dude, they never even found that boy. They just they went this way instead, because the pawn it sounds pretty cool to me, and that's what I'm all in. Steven, kick it to you.
Sounds kind of like Witcher.
Yeah, dude, right? It has me so excited. I'm so excited. So we'll be wrapping up our Rise of the Ronin review, and then I'm jumping into that. Yeah. Steve, what are you in or out on right now?
Oh, I've got a couple of ins this time, just to make up for the negatives. So the first one is, since we talked about pirate ships earlier, is congratulations to Sea of Thieves and Rare for becoming the most digitally pre-ordered game on the PS5.
Very cool, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, props to that as well. I mean, because what season are they in now? It's
season 11.
Oh, 2 digits, yeah. I mean, say, I'm thinking 11 or 18 or something high up.
I mean, for people on PS5 that've been wanting to jump into this, I mean, they've got loads of content there already. It's not like a day one on Xbox and PlayStation where it was empty. You know, exactly. You got the Jack Sparrow's quest now and the ones we done not long ago.
Oh, the Monkey Island.
Curse of Monkey Island. Yo, Kyle keeps bugging us. We got to go back into that one, Steve.
Yes. So that is my first one on that one. And the other one I'm kind of looking forward to, and I hope it's not over before it starts, is Project Over, the new Ghost Recon game coming out.
Okay, so tell me
I'm looking forward to that.
What do you know about the game, Steve? Because I heard of it, but I never actually looked into it, which is pretty disappointing for myself because I am a huge Ghost Recon fan. Tell me all about it. What do you know?
I have heard it's a lot inspired by Modern Warfare series.
Oh, crap.
It's going to be a lot darker.
Okay.
It's fictional Nayman. Hold on. Is it Nayman War? Fictional Nayman War.
Okay.
That's all I kind of know, but it's going to be more like, I say, more inspired by Modern Warfare series. And like I said, dark. I've heard stories of like decisions of like there's a baby, a woman carrying a baby, and you have to make the choice what you do because it could be a bomb there or terrorist.
Oh, really?
It's
that reminds me of Modern Warfare 1, the remaster, where you're going through that house.
That's what I think. I think that's that kind of dark. Vision. Yeah, I think it's that kind of darkness this time, and it's supposed to be improved graphics. I've heard as well.
Sure.
So. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm kind of looking forward to this.
I hope you have to bury yourself in the ground many times throughout that game because it just didn't come up in Breakpoint.
Yeah. Very disappointing. I liked Breakpoint. It was broken, but it was just something I liked.
Breakpoint was broken point at one point, right? The game was so buggy. It was unfortunate because coming off of Wildlands, man, I loved Wildlands. I thought it was awesome. It was so good. Yeah. And then when that came around, I'm like, yo.
But I nothing to compare to because I never played Wildlands. So this is my technically apart from Division, this was my first kind of more that open world kind of thing. And I think it was the story that kind of got me with the Nomad and going out and helping different factions because obviously I believe in that one that you go rescue scientists on an island and your plane gets shot down.
Yeah.
And then you start there investigating the island of what's going on, and there's all tech and drones and.
But so much more of an adventure game than they used to be. That's the problem with me is I think about Ghost Recon. I'm going back to the GameCube, the Ghost Recon 1, and that's just an entirely different game. We'll never get that game back.
No,
it's long gone in the past now. But I kind of have it kind of sours my taste towards new Ghost Recon, and that's a shame, really, because Ghost Recon. Has the potential to stand out as a great tentpole series.
Future Soldier was so cool, and the multiplayer was incredible. Like I talked about
Advanced Warfighter was mine.
Oh, was it? Well, Future Soldier, like my brother and I actually joined a clan, and we were out on a nightly basis rolling, and it was awesome. I had so much fun. I loved it. And then Wildlands came, I'm like, wow, this is really different than Future Soldier. But fell in love with it, and then that was cool. Then they brought out mercenary mode, right? And then we get into Breakpoint, and then they announced that they're gonna bring Frontline, Ghost Recon Frontline, and nobody wanted that. So it was like, woo! It was like one of the most negative YouTube videos they've ever done, besides Quartz. Yeah. And then it was just kind of scrapped, and now we're getting into this new one. So I have high hopes. I'm hoping that they should just go back to the roots in a sense, right? And I say the roots, I'm really meaning Wildlands, the one that really kind of took off well for them. Besides going, I think Scott, in your case, right? I know you have the nostalgia for it, but if they go all the way back, I don't think that's going to matter to most. right? Where I think there's a middle ground that they have to hit. And then you do not try to turn Ghost Recon into Call of Duty. Like, that's just not going to work, right? That's not that game.
Oh, man.
It better be third person, man.
Drew.
I hope it's third person.
The skins.
Go away. Scott, what are you in on?
I'm just thinking
on?
I'm thinking of Fortnite now, trying to take a tactical stance, and every game is becoming Fortnite, which could be my out, but in this case, it's not. My out, as of recently, is the do or die nature of the industry, and this is maybe a little bit too big for an issue that's just my own. I know the issue is much worse and much bigger to other people in the industry, all the layoffs and everything, but it's particularly what I'm talking about is that a game has to be a massive seller, or pack it in, turn the lights off, close the door because it's not coming back, and I don't like that. And it's that's such a big nebulous problem that it's really hard to get into. I don't have a solution, but I just know the unsustainability is gonna just leave us all high and dry eventually. If we can't figure this out, gaming could get really dark in the next few years.
We'll see.
It's a shame these developers can't just give their games they don't want to release to modders, because some modders have done some incredible things in certain games. Can't they let them finish the games off or do something? Because they have so much passion. Sorry, go on.
There's a lot of questions behind what do you do with something like that, right? Kyle's right, though. He says Wildlands was amazing. Absolutely. Polar Knight says, I miss games that was made and played by devs, not just a money grab. We all are, right? Now everything's such a big push to live service games. This is kind of where that falls into your little thought process there, Scott, right? Is the Fortnites of the world kind of did change a bit of the outcome of what we play on a daily basis. These live service experiences are what people are trying to get into to keep the lights on. But to do so,
it's such a shame.
The roadmap needs to be needs to be miles long, right?
Well, that company has to become a company that does that game forever now, instead of different projects, and it's not what I like to see. That's for sure.
Well, and that's kind of why
you either have live service. Sorry, you either have live service games or you have remakes, and that's the only thing that seems to do well right now. And half of those aren't even doing well. So,
well, The Last of Us, right? It was a prime example of why Naughty Dog shut it down. Their Last of Us multiplayer. They said they would turn our whole studio into a games of service studio, and that's not what we want to do. We want to be the single player, story driven experience. I'm very curious to see what their next game is.
It's a bit of a remaster masters now.
Well, there is that. There is that as well.
Of their own production.
Yeah, but I don't know what the solution is, right? Like we talked about it being, do they just do smaller teams, smaller games? What is it? Brad comes in with, live service is a bad word. Even Gears 5, amazing game, but I turned off the local settings. I played Gears 5 from start to finish with my wife, and it was absolutely incredible.
That's the way. Is
there
live service kind of?
I was going to say,
I mean, puzzled as to that.
I think they're going to do another Last of Us. There is got to be. I think it's going to be a trilogy, and it'll be the story of Ellie from the start, middle, and then the end.
So I've heard this a lot lately, Steve, and I want to come back to you in a second here. What is our hopes for the next Last of Us experience? Because some people are talking about, let's go with Abby, let's go with somebody else, let's do Ellie. Can you do, because spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2. Joel's not around anymore, everybody. I'm sorry if you didn't know that. You do now. But for the last
golfing trip,
a little bit. But when you get into The Last of Us Part 3, what's your vision? Where do you want to see that go, Steve? Can we have a Last of Us Part 3 without Ellie?
Unless it's got to do obviously because she's the cure. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they've got to get the cure, whether it's the Fireflies or those kind of things. But would she sacrifice herself at the end to save humanity? And then it could be a decision-making thing where you make the choice of, do you just carry on and disappear in the sunset and lose yourself, or do you sacrifice yourself and save humanity?
Polar Knights, you're awesome, dude. He's so old that his first game was a text-only game on a Texas Instrument PC. Brad says,
you guys getting roasted?
No. Northern Nerdcast says Abby needs a send-off after the final fight. there is a lot to pull from, I think, that final battle at the end of The Last of Us Part 2, right? I think there's something to pull from there, without a doubt. I think...
Or maybe Abby helps Ellie.
Oh, do you really think that's possible, though, after what they've been through, right? Like, after the...
Yeah, but she let it go.
She did. I know, but you really... You
run
into her now.
Eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye, a finger for a finger. Just... right? Like, there is... How do you take this game, right? Where do you take it? Neil's got a vision in the back of his head for a 3. What does that look like? Where does that go? Who do we have? Scott, I tell you this all the time. Dude, you suck because you still haven't played it.
Yeah, we're working on that.
I think it's how long until PlayStation to give it to Xbox. Yeah,
that's exactly. Yeah, how long till it goes on to PC? But I'm wondering if could they pull something from the show and kind of give one of those characters a side spin-off story?
Kyle, I'm so
but then that would anger everybody, likely.
I think I just spoiled it for Kyle after all these years.
Oh no!
I didn't say what happened. I just said he's not around anymore.
The idea of a third game, though, I think that's an interesting idea. What Steve says, making that choice. Are you going to be the cure, or is life too precious to yourself? And you're not.
I mean, I've got a
feeling
people are going to try track her down. I mean, it could be that because at the end she sort of was at the log cabin or wherever she was, wasn't she, with Dina and the baby.
Well, there's things happening.
And it kind of does that, and you don't know if quiet life, and then all of a sudden there's like a bounty on her, or
yeah. There's definitely
what's my cat on
what
the door?
area? They've done Seattle and all those kind of places already.
There's definitely a lot of questions when it comes up to what does the third one get into, right? And where does Neil take it all? My throat keeps going dry on me, guys. Talking too much.
It was all a dream.
Well, yeah, they just wake up and nothing happened at all.
And then it ends. Credits roll.
That's it. Yeah. All right, let's get into the topic of the show.
He wakes up and he's Nathan Drake.
Oh, man. Time flies, guys. We can keep going for hours here. But I want to get into the topic of the show. And this came up thanks to Sean Layden. So, former PlayStation boss. Exclusivity will always be important. This was an article out of Jordan Midler over at VGC. And this kind of popped the question and it had me kind of thinking. Former CEO of SIE America and chairman of Worldwide Studios, Sean Layden, has reiterated the importance of the exclusivity during a recent podcast appearance. Speaking on the What's Up podcast, PlayStation podcast, the former Sony executive spoke on the importance of first-party games and their function in the market. Quote, exclusivity will always be important. It helps focus and highlight the features of your platform. What can you do here technically that you can't do someplace else? But as a platform becomes established, as the market recognizes where you sit in the pantheon of gaming options, I think the necessity of exclusivity becomes a bit less. In a recently published interview at GamesBeat, the former PlayStation frontman described the ballooning budget of first-party games as their Achilles heel. When your cost for a game exceeds $200 million, think about that for a second, exclusivity is your Achilles heel, Layden told GamesBeat. It reduces your addressable market, particularly when you're in the world of a live service, game, or free-to-play. Another platform is just another way of opening the funnel, getting more people in. Guys, is an exclusive the only way to go? When we take a look at Helldivers went PlayStation, PC, becomes the biggest game. You take a look at the other side now, you go over to Xbox, what are they doing? Sea of Thieves is now the #1 pre-order game on PlayStation. Is having exclusives that important?
Now, I see those topics are kind of in the already established Sony world, though. This is a platform that's already established and seeking to kind of bring more people in and more. But if you take that from a different perspective and you go to Google Stadia did not have the exclusives, did not have the first party lineup to expand to that second level. So I think it sounds like I do actually agree with Layden. You do need that first initial push, but after that you can then look beyond your own horizons.
It's always a good marketing, because at the end of the day, we have Xbox where you can get their game everywhere. PlayStation is basically saying, hey, we've got X amount of copies you can only buy on our console, and it's a AAA title game that everyone's been looking forward to, and all the, say, like Wolverine that's coming out.
Yeah.
Then you're going for just your people, basically, or only people that have PlayStation to play the game. And they've always got to get you on the live service anyhow, because you still have to pay for the subscription, whether it's the PS Plus or the Game Pass Ultimate, so to play these live service games in the first place. So I think being exclusive is a good way of marketing tactic to get more sales of a game.
I think there's something to it at the beginning of the life cycle, right? There's a reason why you're going to want to pick up PlayStation 6 as an example, right? They're going to have Spider-Man 3, PlayStation 6, day one. You're not going to get that on an Xbox. I doubt you get Spider-Man 2 on an Xbox someday either, right? But I think... Even by then, I don't think you will, because PlayStation is just in a different league right now when it comes to the market. You take a look at Xbox. Yeah. Phil Spencer said himself, they're in third place, right? Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, or PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox. Either way, Xbox is below everybody else. So what do? They open up their first party library and go, hey, we're going to bring what is essentially over a year old, right, or older, as Sea of Thieves, a games as service model that's done really well. Season 11 now comes to PlayStation. But when you take a look at the other side, PlayStation is going, you're bringing that game to us, so we're going to get a cut of that, right? Like, that's you're putting your first party games on the competition.
But, are you going to see a couple of the pirate ships on the seas of Sea of Thieves, like with the PlayStation logo on some ships, and then the Xbox on the others? Because I'm sure it's going to be cross-play.
I think that's kind of the marketing edge to it, though, is the exclusivity, not just being the game, but referring to the player. Part of our exclusive club, we all belong to this group, and you don't. I think that speaks to some of the darker parts of being human. But when it comes to the actual platform, PlayStation 6, for example, we'll use that. If I were to quote, mind you, quote, exclusivity will always be important. It helps focus and highlight the features of your platform.
Sure.
What can you do here technically that you can't do someplace else? And I don't know if that's true when it comes to Xbox versus PlayStation. Is there anything that Xbox can do that PlayStation cannot do? Or vice versa? I don't believe there is really too much of a difference anymore. I think they're the closest they've ever been to the same box. Nintendo, on the other hand,
you're talking about that, obviously, like PlayStation exclusivity, even like with the PSVR 2. Do you think it is do you think it'd be a good call for Microsoft not to go into the VR business like PlayStation did or Sony?
No,
they let Sony do that.
Do you think Microsoft saw that?
Yeah, absolutely did.
Xbox?
Yeah. So Northern Nerdycast chimes in and goes, they used to be. There was always a reason to buy one system over the other. Now, there's no reason to buy one over the other unless you're looking for the haptic feedback, more or less, is what he's saying. When you get into haptic feedback, that controller is a game changer, right? If you're looking to get into
you two have highlighted the actual physical differences. That is what you can achieve on PlayStation that you truly cannot on Xbox, at least not yet. That is something that I think speaks to the value of exclusivity. The closer we get to our computers just being different colors, exclusivity goes out the window. It's only manufactured that way, and that kind of irks me.
I have to say, the speaker on the DualSense still gets me every time, because not every game has it, and every time it's like,
Nintendo,
where did that come from? And it comes out through the speaker on the controller. I think that's pretty cool.
I love it when I'm playing MLB The Show and the chirping comes through the controller and it just gets you.
That's really cool.
That is pretty cool. I'm curious to see what does Xbox do, because at one point, right, remember when it was PS4 and Xbox One, there was a split difference in both those consoles. There are two different visions right there. Xbox didn't stick with the vision because they got crapped on, taken over the coals. Like, they just raked over the coals over their vision. But at the same time, part of me goes, man, if you stuck with that vision, where would that look like right now? Very curious to see what the outcome would have been, right? It's just one of those back it up.
Was that their always online angle they were trying to work
Call of Duty, TV, Call of Duty. Yeah, absolutely, right? It was
spoke to somebody, but not many of us.
Well, and that's just it. So when you take a look at exclusive now, and when Sean's talking about it, when it exceeds $200 million, are you going to get that back in that exclusive, right? We talk about Horizon. Horizon is one of my favorite franchises right now. Super cool. Steve and I both love it, right? We love Aloy as a character. We love her journey through Zero Dawn into Forbidden West.
As a child.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that unfold here. So it's very, very cool didn't you get into this. But will that $300 million production get brought back into the studio? Will they make that back? Because that's what it cost them. It was over $300 million to make that game. Like, that's nuts.
Well, just another thing as well. What if when they bring, obviously, the new next-gen consoles, obviously more bigger, more powerful, more processing, is these games now to make going to cost more money? And then are we going to expect a rise in video games from like $90 to over $100 or so?
It very well could. I could see that, but that would be some technological advancement that I'm still in favor for, because right now the consoles are just two different color variants of each other. Yeah. In my eyes, take the VR out of there, take the controller out of there. Those are obviously where PlayStation is winning.
Yeah. Kyle says, "Don't go spoiling Horizon on me now too." Kyle, they all died. You don't have to play it anymore. They all just died. I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry, man. Dude, I forgot you haven't played that yet. You should have went that way.
I was going to say, did Carl go watch the film Titanic and got upset because it sank?
You know what happened is that he went on the Days Gone path, and he should have went with The Last of Us first. That would have been the safe way to go. But after all those hours into Days Gone, I think he got his time worth and enjoyed that game quite well. So
that's a good game.
Will we ever get a sequel in that one, guys?
Oh man, only if Xbox opens it up exclusively for them. They're the only ones that'll take on the cost.
Ben Studio. That's a PlayStation-owned studio. You're not getting Days Gone.
No.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, getting back into the whole exclusive stuff, right? I find it an interesting approach where Sean's like, yeah, you need exclusives because it drives sales. And Scott, you have a very valid point with Stadia. The fact that they didn't have anything. They had guilt. Dude,
yeah.
Right? Like guilt?
They started
I think that is now available somewhere else too.
Guilt is now brought over to...
Is it PS5? PlayStation?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was.
So, which is good, cool to see that game live on. But, dude, like, Stadia had... Man, we talk about it all the time here, right? Like, Stadia had something, but it was... They didn't have the exclusive content to get that pull. PlayStation has that. You think about Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man, right? The Last of Us. Sorry, Kyle. All these games where they're all first-party exclusive over on PlayStation. That's the only place you get them. So what do people do? They drive to PlayStation. And then Xbox becomes now the third.
And you got to think as well, then when you got like Microsoft and the xCloud, I mean, they were like neck and neck with Stadia really when they first started. But then obviously now
pioneering really
Sony and PlayStation with their handheld stuff. Yeah. So I guess they wanted to do their own systems, make the money out of playing their games on their own systems kind of thing.
Take a look at it this year. Take a look at this year. PlayStation, no first-party exclusives. What have they done? They've lined themselves up with third parties, right? They bring in Square Enix. They get Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They team up with Team Ninja. They get Rise of Ronin. Rise of the Ronin is now their next exclusive. That's not even a first-party studio, right? But they're paying for it because exclusives drive sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be good.
I think if you doubt that exclusives drive sales, I need only point to Nintendo. Yeah. Why do you think Nintendo Switch is still the Switch, not the Super Switch 3? They haven't bothered to catch up to technology-wise. They don't need to. Partly because there is things you can do on a Switch that you cannot do otherwise, which whether it's utilized is kind of another matter. But these games absolutely sell. These beloved IPs are what you associate with Nintendo. That does 100% is the foundation of their business.
It's going to gear up for the younger generations, though. I think.
Yeah, like Nintendo. The younger gens. I look at my little brother. He's now 16. He's not so little. So Pokemon has fallen away, and now he's just open. Pokemon was the kind of thing holding him to Nintendo for a time, but he's just kind of past it now.
It's interesting to see Nintendo, right? They are the platform that is different. When you talk Xbox and PlayStation, it's the same thing. This year, PlayStation, like I said, no first-party exclusives. Xbox, 4. Okay, here's your time to shine. Again, we have yet to see you make it to the Game Awards for Game of the Year discussion. Will that happen this year? You thought you would have had it last year with Starfield. That was your big front runner, right? Didn't happen. As cool as that game was, in most aspects, that one didn't survive. It was one hell of a year last year, though. So, competition, all-time high. This year, Very, very light. Nintendo, no real first-party exclusives coming out. PlayStation, same thing.
No.
Opens up the opportunity here for Xbox to sweep in and take a bit of a spotlight, doesn't it? And then on top of that, they bring Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, and what am I missing, boys? There's nothing else I'm missing. One other title.
Pentiment.
Thank you, Pentiment. Over to the Switch and PlayStation. Man, we're just unheard of times. Very interesting, right? Brad, Troy.
I wonder if PlayStation could pull some money out of their first-party exclusives doing the same thing this year. If you don't have any new exclusives to bring, why don't we just release some of the older titles onto other new consoles?
But they don't need to because they've partnered up with the right people, right? Final Fantasy. They locked it in. 3 games coming to PlayStation only. Rise of the Ronin, another one is a prime example. I'm curious to see what else they have lined up. Like, the year is far from over. So there's got to be other deals already coming. We just haven't heard about them.
Sure, Insomniac's probably doing a couple apart from the Wolverine and...
Well, yeah, for sure. But what's this year? Are we getting that Spider-Man DLC this year? Like, there's rumors right now of Spider-Man 2 DLC, right? So, is that your first party hit? So you have, what, 10 hours? Maybe? And that's the other side of it, too. When you take a look at these games, The Last of Us Part 2 is like a 30-hour game. 30, maybe longer, depending on how much exploring you do, right? Kyle says he put 83 hours into Days Gone. It is not going to be that big.
Holy.
Right? Huge game. Huge game. Do they need to be that big when you go, okay, we need to come out with another AAA exclusive? They're becoming more and more exhausting. Neil Druckmann says, I don't know how many more games I have left in me. It's because they take 5-6 years, countless hours to make, and millions upon millions of dollars. There's a lot of pressure. You launched Last of Us Part 3. It's going to be exclusive, but is it going to be, okay, our budget is $200 million. Are we going to get that back? Take a look at Skull and Bones right now, boys. This is third party. Okay? Think about it. Third party game, Skull and Bones, 120 million plus at one point. This is the last we heard. I'm sure they are past this. Guarantee you, they did not make that back. Yeah. What do they do? What does Ubisoft do now? Right? Thoughts?
Yeah. Are we just over entitled as gamers? Are we just spending way too little on games and they should cost twice as much, therefore making that kind of price tag viable?
Justified.
Because $200 million to create a game is, if you spent $200 million on a building, put it this way, it's one of the wonders of the world. So maybe it's just not sustainable.
But the games are like making films nowadays, CGI, the mod caps and all that kind of stuff, the face expressions, the voiceover.
The tech is just at a different level.
Then all the game mechanics and actually just putting the whole story together and making it enjoyable. I mean, even like we saw The Last of Us, like Part 2, Neil Druckmann saying they cut this bit out because of the flow of the game. But then when you play that little portion, that could have been cool in the game if you left it.
There's so they showed us, this is just what we saw too. Excuse me. When you get into the remastered Last of Us Part 2, whether you like it or not, we were able to play the remastered thanks to our friends over at PlayStation. And you get in there and they show you little snippets of things that they removed from the game. And you go, okay, but how much time did you sink into making this? This one actually looked almost finished. And you're like, it just doesn't work with the flow. They yank it out. It's like
months of development time,
right? Right? Like all of a sudden you've lost all that time, all that money, that investment. But at the end of the day, the game comes out, it does gangbusters, and everybody loves it, and they move on. Now we get a TV show, and we're waiting for Part 3. Unless you're Kyle, and then you're still looking to finish Part 1 and 2.
Oh, we need the companies to be courageous enough to take those risks to make something new and innovative. Otherwise, we get, The Last of Us Part 1 again, and then again, and then again.
Don't want that. No, Brad chimes in, says not first party, but getting huge DLC. It's Final Fantasy 16 again, right? Another exclusive over on PlayStation.
I was gonna say, when they release Horizon Forbidden West, like the miniseries or the series, do you think they're gonna do a remastered of Zero Dawn to go and then start it again?
So,
because there's a few other kind of new series coming out of like the games. Do you think they're going to drop out a DLC or actually do a remastered to coincide with the series that's coming out with the game?
I'm very curious to see what they do with the series, right?
PlayStation was talking about how they wanted to get into transmedia, and that was last year, I believe, early last year that they were talking about that. So that could really be the thinking going forward.
Ghost of Tsushima is getting a movie, right? It's getting a film adaptation. Won't spoil that one for you either, Kyle. It's dude, I'm so sorry.
That one's coming.
I feel horrible. I don't spoil squat. So the fact that the game has just been out for so long, now I just feel horrible for Kyle. That really sucks. I'm so sorry.
Well, you're going to tell me what happens in Tsushima, right?
Yeah, they all died there too. I killed them all.
Oh,
I won the war.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just kind of, they're looking to branch out because I don't think the exclusives are quite enough. So how do you bring in more people, right? Look at Kojima for prime example. But here's the other side of it. Take a look at Death Stranding. Dude built that game in 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. So why does something like The Last of Us take 6? Right? Is it budget? Is it management? Is it mismanagement? Is it storytelling? Storytelling is completely different. Kojima is a unique individual with his own vision, where Neil Druckmann is a very unique individual with his own vision, right? So they're two different paths they both take, but at the end of the day, both games make millions of dollars.
I mean, I have to say, it's one of those games I've been itching. I really want to try out, but for some reason, I don't want to try it out. I think I saw a clip of, I think it was Nate once, and he had a big load on his back on the first one. He was trying to cross the river, and he was going a little bit too fast, and he jumped everything toppled over, and you see everything go wash away, and it was like, I've got to go get that. Now he's walking slow, and that to me, just a walk in of like a walking sim, it for some reason doesn't appeal to me at all.
All right, that's it. That's it. Somebody ban Brad from the chat. Look at this. He says, talk about spoilers. Todd Howard today said that he had to share parts of Fallout 5 with the TV producer. Dude, you should have watched ITG Daily Breakouts. We would have told you all about that. You should get like 5-minute bans for not paying attention. Kyle says he sunk 210 hours into Assassin's Creed Origins. Dude, that game is sick. It is so damn good. I love
those
Origins.
games. Don't need to be that long.
That's the problem.
If you took 10% of that budget and made 10% of that game, I don't know if we'd complain. You know, it would just be again a successful shorter game.
Which one of you have actually completed a game and thought, do you know what? Just right time and everything. Or if you played a game and because it goes, damn, I wish it's too short. There could have been a bit more to it, or a bit more of a description, or
you know what it was for me?
More of a backstory.
It was Valhalla, and I went, damn, that is a long time I played that game, and I didn't need to play that much. Honestly, I'm like 140. I think I'm about 150 hours, and there's DLC after DLC after DLC, and even at the conclusion of that game, I was like, no spoilers again. But it's just kind of left you thinking, right? Okay. And then you get into Basim's story, and which was a much shorter game out of Ubisoft, right? It was only 30 hours that wrapped that up, and I had a blast playing that. I didn't need that 140-hour experience to get the same thing in another Assassin's Creed game, which I felt was much tighter and much more pushing of the story to keep me going, to keep me engaged, instead of just traversing across the landscape that's so empty.
Well, that put me off. Because when I first played Valhalla, I loved it. I put Valhalla. Basically Valhalla.
Yeah, okay.
I put a lot of hours into it, and it was kind of nice. I was like 45, 50% complete. But then I played so many other games, and then all of a sudden, all the DLCs come out, and I think I'm now 8% complete. And it's like...
Absolutely.
And it just kind of put me off now. It's just like... I put a lot of grinding the first time, but when it pushes you back from the finishing goalpost... back to the beginning almost, it's like, nah.
That's a lot of service for you.
So I remember when Origins dropped, and I'm getting into the game, and I'm really enjoying my time, right? I'm not even halfway through the game. They dropped the first piece of DLC. I went, whoa, hold up. Like, I'm not even done. You guys are dropping more content? Like, I can't even get caught up, more or less, right? So when you get back into PlayStation first party studio games, do they need to be, like, you have Destiny as your games of service model right now, and that's carrying everybody through, but does it need to be long experiences? Can we get The Last of Us Part 3 to be 10 hours, 12 hours? People are going to be satisfied, or are they going to be disappointed, guys? I don't know. But guys, just like that, guess what? That's been our time, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with whatever ITG podcast this is going to turn into. We're still working on the name. If you got ideas, hit us up. Let us know. We'd love to hear them. Maybe we'll just take it and use it. You never quite know. We're not going to pay you either. Don't think about that. But either ways, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You can always check us out over on ITG Daily Breakouts. Brad, you should have done that this morning, apparently. But until then, we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm Drew. That's Steve. That's Scott.
And we'll see you inside the game.